We may have blacked out during our presentation. We were supposed to be throwing candy when you did the right answer, so I'm just going to say that anybody who asks a question gets candy today. Incentives.
Yes, we have grape, and then we also have a lemon meringue. So please enjoy.
Really, the candy didn't do it for you?
We just covered everything. Oh, yes.
Well, there are many actions. Civil disobedience is one. Like maybe you saw it in the news on the 2017, there was an illegal referendum to vote whether we wanted to be independent or not, and that's considered one civil disobedience action. Actually, it's being judged right now. Yeah, and another thing that is more like a daily action is like building power from the grassroots. They call it dual power system, which means like more taking decisions on a community level, like instead of like the traditional top-down. Yeah, so that's what one of the things that people in Catalonia are more interested about the Kurdish question or the Kurdish. Sorry, what's the question? Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew it was. Yeah, there's obviously like libraries already have small budgets. You know, they're mostly government funded and they apply for a lot of grants. One of the things that I think libraries could do now, and that's actually realistic, is something they already do, but really emphasizing it, which is programming and sponsoring events with people in the community, specifically indigenous groups, to really teach about the connection to nature, but also mortality, and just really trying to get people to understand that the author I talked about explained that humans believe that we could destroy our habitat and not destroy ourselves. And that is one of the things I think libraries could help to really emphasize, to connect to nature and encourage that human connection that I think has been lost. And that's, I think, one of the things libraries could do at zero cost. It's really just all about, you know, one of the things I also wanted to emphasize was things that libraries could do that don't cost anything. It's things they already do but could add on. It's taking action now in ourselves as librarians to set examples for our patrons. You know, whether that be encouraging incentives like encouraging our staff to take the bus or commute or to ride bicycles, you know, to really change our habits so that we can encourage our patrons to change theirs as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering if you wanted to maybe talk a little bit more about whether you see a contradiction there, limits to sort of transnational communication in service of nationalist movements, dangerous perhaps. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we see transnational populist nationalist movements at the same time as the example, at least the Kurdish example, used clearly inspired by a kind of left-wing ideology, but a lot of transnationally inspired nationalisms that we see, especially in Europe and the U.S. today, and I might say some aspects of the Catalan nationalist movement are right-wing. And so I'm just sort of wondering if you if you kind of would like to talk a little bit more about that tension between transnationalism and nationalism. That seems like it's just an interesting tension as you're talking, and maybe even about kind of the possibility of international movements that might be like the Kurdish movement, but with a more internationalist agenda rather than a separatist or independent.
Okay, big question. Okay. Yeah, you're right when you say that nationalist movements have been traditionally right-wing, but what we see in the Catalan movement is how a left tendency and the right tendency try to work together with each other against like greater power, which is perceived as greater power, the Spanish state, right? And one of the biggest things the left tendency advocates for is for international solidarity. So for the time being, this is not perceived as a risk of becoming too nationalistic, because because of this legacy that we have of international solidarity. But there's also a contradiction with this, of course. Actually, one of the things that Kurdish folks criticize from us is this a bit nationalistic touch and the will of creating an own state instead of like an autonomy. And if you know the Kurdish question a little bit, maybe you know that they no longer request a Kurdish state. Well, actually, in a part of it they do, but the one that I'm talking about, they don't. They just claim they advocate for an autonomy. They don't advocate for an independent state anymore, because they consider that the state is like a problem itself, the figure of the state. So that's one of the things they criticize from us, and I think the criticism is like well tolerated amongst Catalans. Yeah.
This actually played out, unintended. I'd be really interested in that.
Thank you. That's a great question. So, because we don't have a lot of time after we do activities like this, we had a 1-minute assessment following the game where students could, answer whether or not the instructions were clear, how long the game took them, but then also just briefly tell us what they liked about the game and then how the game could be improved. And, and we got a lot of really great feedback. A lot of students said that it was fun. They said that it was familiar, and that it actually did help them find different resources, and that there were specific resources relating to their topic, them moving away from the Google model and more, that there are specialized collections. And then we also got some really great constructive feedback as well, such as maybe improving the texture of the cards, or maybe making the description or the instructions for the game a little bit simpler. And also, some really great feedback that we got was they wanted to do more rounds. They wanted to have more topic cards. They wanted to have more databases. And so that was really reassuring that they, that it was actually something that they would like to play more. Did you have anything else to add to that?
Yeah, well, in addition to the assessment where they actually got to write down, we were really lucky in this part of our research because everybody who played it gave us some research back. So, have to say, for those of you who had to go and get anyway, we're lucky. As we watched the students play, the feedback that we gained from that was that it was super interactive, that everybody was, enjoying it. It was a break from, worksheets, even though the worksheets were highly productive. It was really neat to see them collaborating over this and, dare I say, having fun.
Yeah, I mean, another type of assessment that we can do in the classroom is just going around and interacting and engaging the emotional response to these things. And I mean, we saw smiles on people's faces. People seemed like they were actually like in heated discussions, like pleasantly heated discussions about which resource would be their best resource, and like, well, you should choose this one because it does this, this, and this. And so it was like, wow, that's really cool for such a simple game model. That all of this is being able to take place was really awesome to see. Look alive, look alive. Oh, yeah.
All right, so I'm going to get 2 candies tonight. I'll have Margaret ask her question, and then I have another question myself.
So, can you hear me? Okay. So, a couple of my interviews, I actually got to meet the people beforehand, so it was kind of like an icebreaker. The other ones where I just met and flat out just went straight into an interview. I try to make it as comfortable as possible. Do you need anything? Do you want anything to eat? I can offer you lunch, as long as it's not at Harbor Lights. And I guess I had to learn over time, like, what questions worked better for my project, because some of the questions that I had originally were like, does this really have to deal with what I'm going for? No. And yeah. So I had a couple situations where I was told things about negative experiences within the neighborhood, one of which is in my film. And it kind of threw me back because I wasn't expecting that much information from them. And all I could really do is respect what they were saying. Really listen to it, not sitting here, messing with the camera, zooming in and stuff like that, just leaving it as it is, letting them explain their experience and their story, and not necessarily stepping boundaries. So if I felt it was appropriate to say something like, would you like to elaborate on that further? Or it was just kind of a sense, like really just feeling what the environment is like and what they were telling you, and if you can go further or not. Just basically respect. Yeah. So my work originates in Dr. Honey's oral history methods class. Before that, I was already in the program for a year doing something totally different. And when I started doing this project, and it came time to submit it to the library, I was like, I can't submit it the way it is. Like, it seems one-sided. I refuse to have my work out there in the world and it be from one narrative. So I just was like, this is my project now. And it occurred to me at some point in time, I think it was discussing like how we wanted to go about doing our projects and theses, and I was like, I do not want my work to sit on a shelf or in a database. I would rather it be utilized in the community, whether if it's here, local high schools for history classes, libraries. I would much rather it be used than kind of just wind up here lost. So, does that answer your question? Okay.
Margaret, that's yours. Yeah, you were being attacked, yes, by Candy here. Congratulations, you get one too.
Are there any other questions? All right, thank you all. I'm going to do a couple of concluding remarks and I'll announce the winner.
Winners, we had a surprise tie, so this is super exciting. What I do want to do is challenge our participants to think about where they're going to present this work next. You know, what audience needs to hear about climate change in libraries, what audience needs to hear, et cetera, et cetera. Think about that because you have important things to say. So I would encourage you to find other venues of presenting. So back to my script. With the theme of breaching borders, we may have moved ourselves out of a zone of safety and into a brave space. But this is, as some of our presenters even mentioned, a place for learning and growth to happen. I, for one, am grateful for this opportunity to have listened to ideas and projects which seek to push the boundaries of the fields they arise out of. I want to thank everyone here who presented, those who had questions, and who attended. Another round of applause for the graduate students, please. Also, I'd like to solicit a round of applause for the special people in the lives of our graduate students who make things run more smoothly for them. Children, parents, partners, friends, other family members, we thank you especially. You know who you are. All right, so we had a tie for the audience favorite, and I'd like to invite Elsa and Justy to come up, please, for audience favorite. And I am going to be super apologetic because we only have one binder, one folder. So Justy, we're going to get you another one. So here's this, and here's this, and you will get one of those, and we will find a way to get that to you. You'll get a nice little folder. So congratulations to Justy and Elsa for tying the first ever audience favorite at the 6th annual Tac Talks. We've had refreshments. There's more left. Talk to your friends. Talk to these students. Thank you. This is a joy, and have a wonderful evening. Thank you.